his assumption that AI is hacking the operational system of civilization is kind of out of date. That's already happened. Like a more primitive form of AI has already hacked our system by using algorithms to appeal to what's worse in us, our biases, our outrage, and ignoring the fact that there is also an enormous amount that's good in human beings. So I actually believe that AI used for good can appeal to the better angels of our nature. And if you believe that human beings are a mixture, of outrage and bias and anger and also goodness, why aren't we reinforcing what is good? Where are the algorithms that can reinforce what's good in people and make money from it?
I'm Jessica Yellin from News Not Noise, here as a media partner at Fortune's Most Powerful Women. And I'm here with Arianna Huffington. Such a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for your time.
So great to be with you.
Thrive Global, your company, is dedicated to improving mental health and well-being through behavior change. And a lot of people are struggling right now with anxiety and stress, given personal pressures, financial pressures, but also just the state of the world and the election. What is your top behavioral change advice for folks who want to rein in their anxiety?
I would recommend, first of all, that people take all breaking news notifications off their phones.
Amen.
Because, first of all, as you know, Jessica, you've been in this business for a long time. Most breaking news is not breaking news. And people have multiple notifications coming at them. Go to the news when you are ready to read the news. Don't allow the news to interrupt your life and interrupt what you are doing. Another, what we call a Thrive micro step, small little changes you can make every day that reduce your stress and improve your mental health, would be to have a cutoff point. Like, don't get into bed with your phone and doom scroll the news, because it's going to be harder to go to sleep. And even if you're really exhausted and you go to sleep quickly, your brain has not had time to slow down and be able to really surrender to sleep and not be woken up by your active brain in the middle of the night, which is the most unproductive time we all have. So for that, I would recommend not only having a definite cutoff point at night where you have a little transition to sleep, which does not include doom scrolling the news, but also to charge your phone away from your bed. I know you and I have talked a lot about it, but it really matters, especially right now when people are so stressed about the election. And if you wake up in the middle of the night and your phone is right on your nightstand, you are very likely to go to it because you're awake, you're bored, and you want to know what's the latest. The third micro step is stop obsessing over the polls.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, just remind yourself of how wrong they've been again and again and again. And we look at the polls, we forget the margin of error, we forget how wrong they were in multiple elections, and we completely panic.
I love those tips. I'm still working on moving my phone out of my bedroom.
I know, but I'm not giving up on you.
Thank you. There are so many different micro steps people can take when they have those moments of panic. Let's say they've followed all your advice, but still they hear something that gives them a surge of anxiety. I've heard that there are different steps, like touch your lips to make you more present, look at nature for 40 seconds. What's your favorite way?
My favorite is using the superpower of our breath. Most of the time we breathe unconsciously. Just bringing consciousness to our breathing. Let me give you a stress technique that Navy SEALs use. It's called box breathing. You breathe to the count of 4. You hold to the count of 4. You exhale to the count of 4, and you hold to the count of 4. So it's literally a box, and if you forget it, you can Google it. Box breathing. And my point of view is that if it's good enough for Navy SEALs in times of stress, it's good enough for Jessica and Arianna.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Even just making sure that you are breathing consciously as opposed to unconsciously makes a big difference. At Thrive, we also have 60-second resets that are really images of things that bring you gratitude or joy, a piece of music, favorite quotes, and together 60 seconds, like mine, includes one of my favorite quotes by Rumi, live life as though everything is rigged in your favor. It has a picture of my 2-year-old grandson, Alexander. So things that the minute you see them remind you of what you love about your life at a moment when you're really stressed out about your life. And life is always a mixture. And we have a lot of science that tells us that when we are reminded of what we are grateful for, anxiety and stress cannot coexist with gratitude.
I've never heard it put that way. I'd like to pivot to a new challenge you've taken on, which is AI. Your company is partnering with OpenAI to create personalized recommendations for healthcare. Would you tell us more about what you're working on?
Yes. So, as you know, Jessica, our healthcare is in crisis, not just here, but all around the world. You know, we're spending over $4 trillion a year, 17% of our GDP, and health outcomes are getting worse every year. And I think the solution is the miracle drug of behavior change, because just look at the science. Our genes are about 7 to 8% of our health, medical care about 30%. The rest is our daily behaviors. So our motto at Thrive is health is what happens between doctor visits. And there are these 5 behaviors: sleep, food, movement. We don't even call it exercise. Can we move more? Stress management and connection, broken down into these micro steps, small little incremental steps that lead to healthier behaviors. And AI is really absolutely perfect for hyper-personalization, which is key to behavior change. Right now, all recommendations are generic. You know, your Apple Watch may remind you to stand or move or breathe. But the truth is that we need their recommendations to be targeted to you or me. Let's say if you have a child that you pick up at 3:15 from school, your AI coach that we are building will ask you if you can do 10 minutes of walk with your child.
So it knows your schedule.
It knows
and your
everything.
life.
So the AI coach we're building in this company that we launched and jointly funded with OpenAI, called Thrive AI Health, the coach will be trained on the latest peer-reviewed literature on behavior change. And it will be trained on all the data you are willing to share with us: biometric data, lab data, medical data, calendar data, and preferences. Like, what do you prefer to do? And what we are finding is that there is a privacy utility trade-off. Like, if you know that we're going to use your data for you, we're not selling it, we're not selling ads against it, you are very likely to share it with us because you get value.
You think about AI, a lot of people are very nervous about it. You touched on the privacy concerns. There's also anxiety that it could be used for bad. The machine could turn against people. Other people think they're techno-optimists and see only upside. Where do you come down on the good versus bad ratio for the future of AI?
Well, actually, I just finished reading Yuval Harari's book, Nexus, and wrote a piece about it. And obviously, he's brilliant, and I love a lot of what he says in the book. I think his assumption that AI is hacking the operational system of civilization is kind of out of date. That's already happened. Like, a more primitive form of AI has already hacked our system by using algorithms to appeal to what's worse in us, our biases, our outrage, and ignoring the fact that there is also an enormous amount that's good in human beings. So I actually believe that AI used for good can appeal to the better angels of our nature. And if you believe that human beings are a mixture, you know, of outrage and bias and anger and also goodness, Why aren't we reinforcing what is good? Where are the algorithms that can reinforce what's good in people and make money from it? Why are we assuming that you can only make money by reinforcing the outrage and the anger? If we have a few companies that can prove that that's not the case, I think we can change outcomes.
I like your optimism. And we need leaders like you helping to drive the future of AI with that POV. Big picture question about health and well-being. What do you think are the biggest challenges to Americans leading healthy lives today?
Well, the biggest challenges have to do, first of all, with what we eat. You know, the ultra-processed foods, the amount of sugar that becomes addictive, leads to enormous consequences for our health. So we've partnered with Instacart, for example. We just are bringing out a free cookbook where we asked famous chefs like Ina Garten and Jose Andres to donate recipes. 5 ingredients or less, not expensive, nothing expensive, and engaging, so that it's not, you know, eat your steamed broccoli. It draws you in. And we prove that this is not more expensive than eating fast food, which is one of the illusions. And then the other illusion is most Americans live in food deserts. Well, Instacart can reach 93% of food deserts. So, you know, we have a lot of solutions, and technology can help us here. And we just need to recognize that we can't just continue on this glide path. Far too many people are hurting. There were 150,000 leg and toe amputations last year of people with diabetes, which is a complete barbaric tragedy that doesn't need to happen, because diabetes, even if you can't prevent it, is completely manageable.
Because we're at Fortune's Most Powerful Women, there are a lot of CEOs and powerful women here. You are unusual in your ability to pivot and your ability to sort of catch the wave of what's next and always innovate. Through your life, what do you think is your secret to both taking that risk and succeeding so frequently?
Well, thank you, first of all. And you too are great at pivoting. I think that very often women especially have a hard time pivoting if they have a big job. I mean, look, you had a big job at CNN, but you pivoted. I had a big job at the Huffington Post, but I pivoted because we follow our heart. We follow what we want to do. We take a risk. I mean, you didn't know if News Not Noise would work. I wouldn't know. I didn't know if Thrive Global would work. There are no guarantees. But the alternative is staying in jobs that no longer have that incredible engagement for us. And you see so many people, especially in big jobs, men and women, who are afraid to leave and pivot because they think, who am I going to be without this CEO job? Or who am I going to be without this important title after my name?
So it's having confidence in yourself that you're enough to stand.
And being willing to take risks. Mm-hmm. Confidence is one thing, but the other thing is, my mother used to tell me, don't be afraid of failing. You know, failure is not the opposite of success, she used to say. It's a stepping stone to success.
Arianna, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Jessica.